protesters are gearing up for the second anti-Trump No Kings protest nationwide. More heated clashes erupting outside the Broadview, Illinois ICE facility near Chicago. This is a common occurrence now. It happens every Friday morning. Today, at least 16 people were arrested at this protest. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon wants to just rev the whole thing up a little bit more. He's calling for people to arm themselves. Watch this.
If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for?
All right, we're going to talk about that. Meanwhile, the media and Democrats pumping up this weekend's anti-Trump No Kings rally as the only way to save democracy.
There is nothing more American than a political protest. The American Revolution was a No Kings rally.
That this unhinged White House spokesperson would suggest that that's hateful. That's not hateful. What's hateful is what happened on January 6th. That was a Hate America rally sponsored by Donald Trump.
I don't think you're going to walk away from this weekend and come to the conclusion that America doesn't care about the destruction of our democracy.
They're trying to call us terrorists, the Hamas wing of the party. I mean, the that they are saying is disgusting.
President Trump speaking with Maria Bartiromo and responding to all of this and the upcoming No Kings protests.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for the king. This is
more
not
than
a king.
that.
You know, they're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right.
All right, Joey, let's start with you. And let's start with Don Lemon's point that he made there. Everybody should go out and get a gun.
Yeah, I agree with him completely. Everybody should go out and get a gun legally where you can. The problem is just about any city that has laws he's advocated for, you can't get one legally, even if you are a citizen. On top of that, if you are a citizen and they're coming to your house and beating the door down, it's because your hermano is illegal and he's wanted for rape or murder. He brought a backpack of drugs here with him and he needs to go. And if you have a problem with that and pull a gun out on ICE for doing their job, you'll suffer the same lowly fate that a lot of people have, and then they'll all be crying at your funeral. That's just the truth of it. Absolutely, the Second Amendment is in part to repel tyranny. This isn't tyranny. This is the law. This is enacting the law. And let's just say, if anything happens to an ICE agent, Don Lemon now has blood on his hands. If he had a platform big enough to reach people that we didn't lend him by playing that video.
Jessica, what do you think as you look at these protests and what Joey just said about the lawful apprehension of individuals that ICE has worked on, cases that they've worked on, who they are, and the other people that they're rounding up have agitated against them or threatened them in some of these situations in the Broadview protests?
Sure, they certainly have rounded up some bad hombres, and I think if you attack a police officer, then you should be taken in and also get your due process rights. But we also know there was a ProPublica investigation that more than 170 Americans have been detained by ICE, with 20 held for more than a day without being able to contact their lawyer or a loved one. And that's what the No Kings protest is about. Donald Trump says, I'm not a king. And yeah, we get it. You're not a king. You wish you were a king, and you're running this administration as if you should have those kinds of rights. The lack of respect for the Constitution and the laws of this country are astounding. And Trump even told Kristen Welker when he was on Meet the Press a few months ago that he didn't know if he had to uphold the Constitution. And in preparation for today's show, I just wanted to go over a few of the things that people who are going to be out there on the streets peacefully protesting are upset about. Starting with the basics, signing an executive order to do away with birthright citizenship, which is literally in the Constitution, sending troops into blue cities.
Oh, you mean anchor
unilaterally implementing tariffs, which Congress gets to do. I already talked about the 170 Americans who've been locked up. Cracking down on the First Amendment, detaining students for op-eds you don't like, targeting law firms, universities, reallocating funds appropriated by Congress to fund your big ICE force, firing inspectors generals that are looking into your friends like Elon Musk, making billions off of crypto scams, and your kids are running all over the world making deals. And the Trump administration has defied 1 in 3 judges that have ruled against him. And you're seeing that from judges appointed up from Reagan up to Donald Trump that are saying absolutely not, you are breaking the law in taking some of these actions. All of that is what No King's Day is about.
Then why are they always dressed like a furry, screaming about
They're not always.
like boys and girls
Well,
locker
to show
rooms?
how
I mean, we just showed
ridiculous.
it. Like they are ridiculous.
Wouldn't you rather they be in
like
a
if they
costume
want to
from
make
Spirit
some sort of
Halloween,
intellectual argument, I don't think dressing up like a unicorn and running out there and screaming every time.
It
you
is
hear
an
the drum
intellectual
beat
argument to
is
say,
how you do
Christy,
that. That's just what I
you're
would tell
making
them.
it up about what's going on here at that ICE facility
Pikachu
because I'm dressed as Pikachu
whatever that is.
and posing no threat. They arrested a guy who was singing.
Well,
Did
if
you
it
hear it?
sounded
His
bad
voice was terrible, Jessica.
All right,
You
Jesse,
deserve
let's
to be
bring the
locked up.
Is
intellectuality to this.
President
let's.
Trump a king?
Well,
As
I
Jessica
celebrate
just
No
laid out
King's
the argument
Day
for.
on July 4th with the rest of the normal Americans by barbecuing and lighting off fireworks. The Democrats, every time they do gather together, it's not mostly peaceful. The BLM riots, Portland, the anti-Musk protests. Every time you guys get together, someone dies or there's a lot of fires. Usually, we come out and do these things and it springs forth the Tea Party. That was like a legitimate protest movement. The Democrats are trying to do their little Tea Party thing. Ours was a little more organic. This seems a little more astroturfed. And remember, ours, we had political candidates that came out of it. There was a lot of organization. There was money raised. There was policies behind it. And it got a lot of traction. And I don't know if this has legs. I'm not really sure. But the Democrats aren't really about democracy. They took 14 million votes from Joe Biden and crowned Kamala Harris, who got none. The Democrats rigged primaries against Bernie. And then when they do get power, they censure free speech and lock up their political opponents. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden was kind of treated like a frail, ailing king himself. He hid, he ate ice cream, he napped, and if you got near him, he snapped. Now, I do agree with you on Don Lemon. And I love how Donald Trump has made Don embrace the Second Amendment. Every law-abiding American should arm themselves. Everyone, except my mom. Even Jessica should get a gun to protect herself from Greg. But when you do get a gun, your first gun, something changes in your body. You start respecting the law. It makes you a different person. It makes you understand police. It makes you cautious and concerned. And sooner or later, you're going to start buying land in Montana, and then you're going to vote for America First. So, Jessica, I would like to almost gift you a weapon.
So I moved to Montana. Will you also buy me a ranch?
I will buy you 1 acre. Land is cheap. Jesse Waters will buy land in Montana. The rest of us is more like West Virginia.
I'll come hang out with you in Georgia.
All right, let's get Greg in here. Greg?
Well, I always, Jessica did this list persuasion, you know, where you just start nailing all these things down. First Amendment, the universities, ICE, crypto. I think there were like 3 other things. But I got to wonder, was that the same list from a year ago? Because this is the second time. It wasn't, because it wasn't those issues back then. It's not about those issues this year, the way it wasn't about those issues last year. It's always about Trump and the mass hysteria around Trump. They have to preserve it because it's all they've invested into. It says something that No Kings is happening while Trump is brokering peace around the world. He's done like, I don't know, 7, 8 peace deals. It shows that that doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's a full-blown emotional vendetta has taken over their lives. Doesn't matter what he does. So how is this possible? How can you have good things happening around the world and people participating in mass hysteria? Because it's easy and it's fun. Anger requires no thought, no labor, no risk. Remember how Biden played the rage card whenever he never did anything else? Remember the rioting and looting after George Floyd? It was a replacement for thoughtful action, and the media decided to redefine it as a struggle. That whenever, you know, anybody did something violent, it had something to do with some kind of struggle. Having the No Kings event after Trump, you know, figures out Middle East peace, it's like holding a wedding after the couple broke off the engagement the night before. We're still going to go through with the ceremony anyway.
We paid for the food.
We paid for the food. We already made the flyers. But the media indulges this idea that passion equals effort, and they reward people for their feelings and not what they're actually doing. So it's a perfect example again of an imaginary solution for an imaginary problem. The trans bathrooms, the climate models, white supremacy in the military. These were all imaginary problems that then called for an imaginary solution. The problem is the trans solution and a lot of these protest solutions, they're not harmless. Like you could have surgical or psychological division in any of those. If it's just some mindless little thing where you're just standing out in front of Fox yelling like those little old ladies do. By the way, I think you can't spell no kings without no kin. A lot of these people just don't have family, and this is what they do. As for Don Lemon, you're right. I wish I could buy a gun in New York City, but I can't because people like Don Lemon have forbade me from doing that. I've never heard him talk on behalf of the Second Amendment and for my right to own a gun in New York City. You wouldn't believe the hoops I have to jump through, and I won't get into it, but he also worked under the assumption at CNN that he was a reputable, unbiased journalist. But now he removed the pompous scaffolding of a cable news channel, and you see that he's a super self-serving bent crank with emotional issues. The fact that he's like preaching an armed uprising after Charlie Kirk was murdered says that this isn't just hyperbole to him. It's a violent movement that he wants to get in front of for clicks and likes because he's got nothing else.
Yeah, I would just say that, you know, if you want to see a king, an authoritarian, look at Vladimir Putin, who is sending people to be slaughtered in huge waves, and they have no choice in the matter. You look at an energetic executive, you have a lot of action happening, and that makes a lot of people nervous because they're used to the prior administration when there wasn't really an energetic executive. And so you are going to see pushback, but we see President Trump sometimes get things through, sometimes get blocked, and his government, is shut down right now. It isn't really something that he wants to be seeing, but there are checks and balances, and you see them playing out every day. But what you see is someone pushing against it and seeing what they can get under presidential powers, and I think there are checks on that.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.